Okay, so I'm doing a little something different today. Typically, I've avoided this video very much. And like I said in the title, 90% of you are going to hate what I got to say in this video. That being said, rarely do I ever ask my audience for anything. I try to provide good content, something that you can learn from. But these videos, a lot of people want to see. If my audience chooses not to watch this video, then the people who want to see this video, they won't get an option to, because YouTube will not give them the video to watch because my audience didn't watch it. 10% of my audience is going to love this video. The rest of you are going to find it boring because you think I'm a wussy. Take the W out, put a P in. I don't know if 90% of you think I'm a wussy, but a large portion do. That being said, I don't make these videos boring. I try to keep it fast paced. When I do something, I don't do it 20 times like you didn't catch it the first time. I'll show you once, and then if you want to watch it again, you know what you can do, you can rewind it. You should be able to follow suit for the next 20 times if you're going to learn it the first time. So what I'd like for you to do, before you click out of this video, give it a thumbs up and watch it all the way through. Even if you just put your phone aside or go to the bathroom or whatever you're going to do, go get yourself a cup of coffee, let this video play through. Tells YouTube that some people are watching this video, my audience is watching the video, so then they'll send it out to everybody else. Also, please don't put it on fast forward. Put it at regular speed. That way the YouTube algorithm will say, hey, this must be really good information that the viewer wants to see. Like I said, I never ask you for anything, but I really would appreciate it if you could do it this one time. Okay, that being said, today we are canning. Now, don't click out. Like I said, I'm not going to do like all the other canning videos do and show you how to fill a jar 20 times. I'll show you what I'm doing with the jar. I may not even finish filling it before I shut the camera off and go on to the next step. I think if I show you how to fill the jar one time or even half a time, you can surmise how to do it the rest of the time. Today I'm going to can with pint jars. We're going to can chicken. Carolyn is over there right now behind me, or behind you I should say, deboning the chicken. So I got up at 4:30 this morning and I took 2 large pots. We got 30 pounds of chicken, legs and thighs. You can get them at Save a Lot for, I think we got this for 69 cents a pound. Put it in the cooler and let it thaw out, which is a big deal when you are trying to cook it, because when you got that much chicken and you're trying to boil it, it takes forever for it to get up to temperature when it's still frozen. So the first step is to get the chicken into the jars. Okay, so I got my 20 jars. We're gonna fill the 20 jars. I can get 10 jars into a canner. I have 2 canners. So we're gonna fill it. And I'm not gonna show you how to fill all 20. I will show you how to fill 1. But I have a funnel here. You can buy a whole set of utensils on Amazon. You don't wanna overfill it, yet you don't wanna underfill it either. Now the reason I'm using the funnel and why it's so important is you want to try to keep as much garbage off the rim of the jar as much as possible. You don't want to get that greasy. Now we're going to take vinegar and wipe it off once we get it all filled up. That'll remove what grease gets on there, but you don't want a lot of grease on there. Now you're going to loosely pack this. You're not going to shove it down there. And then you're going to get it right there at the collar of the jar. And that's all you got to do. And then later we'll fill it up with some broth. I've got the jars filled up with the chicken now, but as typical, you usually have 1 jar, either too many or not enough. So if you have 1 jar that's too many, you know, you got too much chicken for your 20 jars, just put it in a bag and freeze it. More likely though, you'll be short, which causes a bigger problem because your canners have to be full. So you can put a blank in there, but to me that's a waste of heat and energy and work. So what I do is I fill it up with chicken broth. That way I'm getting something out of that space. I'm not losing that energy. So just to fill this, I'm going to take another jar. I should have gotten my funnel ready. We'll take the funnel. The next step is we have to put broth in each jar of chicken. So we're going to take a turkey baster and we'll just fill it up. When you're using your turkey baster, I don't know if you know this or not, don't lean on its side because all the juice just comes running out. Leave it straight up and down, you won't lose less juice. And then again, we're going to fill this right up to that collar. Now the next thing you got to do is you got to get the air bubbles out of the jar. That way you don't have too much water or not enough water. So again, you buy that utility set from Amazon, you'll get this as well. There's a bunch of things that come with it. So I'm going to take this and we're going to stab it several times so we can get the air bubbles out. And then you can see, I think you can see, that that water is right there at that collar. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, now I got all the jars filled up with the chicken and the chicken broth. I've gotten all the air bubbles out of it. Now I'm going to take a washcloth soaked in apple cider vinegar. I'm going to wipe the rim off of each jar to make sure there's no meat product on there or grease. Now I've taken extra care, as you saw, by using the funnel, but it still happens. Things get up there. Secondly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simmer my canning lids. Now I'm going to use metal canning lids this time. Typically I try to use Tadler lids. Those are reusable 2-component lids or plastic with a rubber seal on them. So you have a plastic lid and a little rubber seal. But I want to get through today without any failures because I'm using meat product with grease. Those Tadler lids, sometimes you get a failure, and I just don't want to deal with failures today. Right now the freezer's full. If the freezer wasn't completely full, I'd use Tadler lids. That way if something failed, I could just put it in the freezer. But now what you do is you put these lids in a pan of water and you simmer them, just barely simmer them. Once they get to simmering, it's done. Some newer lids you don't have to do that with, so make sure you read the instructions. That being said, it doesn't matter if you do or don't with those newer lids. So I just think you should do it anyways, if nothing else, to get them sanitized. Okay, so the next step is we're going to put the lids on the jars. You probably can see that the pan is steaming, so that's the water that we simmered for a couple minutes. Remember our knife that we used to get the air bubbles out of the jar? Well, on the end of it, it has a magnet. So you can take the magnet and you put it in the pan, put it on the jar. Then we're going to take the ring. I don't over tighten these. I just kind of do a little twist. Okay, so you can get orientated. This is the stove. It's got the 2 canners, 1 canner here, 1 canner here. Each canner has 10 jars in it now. I've put 3 quarts of water in the canner. Now, like I said, there's 10 jars in here. These are pint jars. You can get 7 quart jars in here. And I'm going to put the lid on. The lid has this seal in there. You're supposed to replace that seal every 3 years. And it has this safety release on it also. It's a little rubber gasket that gets replaced. It comes in a set. You buy them on Amazon. You just find the part number. These canners came from Walmart. I think it's the 20 quart. Don't quote me. It's the smallest one. It also has this little flapper here. As the pressure builds up in here in the canner, this will pop up. That lets you know that there's enough steam in there now. We'll let the canner heat up, get up to pressure, and then we'll put our jiggler on there. Okay, so now the pots are steaming. I know you're not gonna be able to see it because I can barely see it, but steam is starting to come out of that little porthole right there. You need to wait 10 minutes now before you put on the jiggler. And what you're doing is you're trying to evacuate all that dead air out of there. You just want it full of steam. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. So I'm gonna put the jigglers on. Now the jiggler has different pieces that you can take on and off so they can come off. Read the instructions, see how much weight you need. We're here above 1,000 feet, so we have to have all 3 weights. 15 pounds, I think that is. You put them on there. Now we're gonna wait until they start jiggling, and then we'll start the timer for 75 minutes for pint jars. Now if this was quart jars, we were doing chicken, it'd be 90 minutes. It's jiggling. Now, one of the key things is once it starts jiggling, you don't want it jiggling so fast that you're losing all your water in the pot. You want to make sure that it can last 75 minutes or 90 minutes, depending on if you're doing pints or quarts. So you want to turn it down where it's just barely jiggling. It might be this one here, they're about right, I guess. I turned this one down, but this other one, it's got a smaller flame. So now we'll just time it for these little pop-up tabs right here. Those will fall down after it cools down. See, they pop up when the steam pressurizes it, then it'll fall down when it cools down. Once that falls down, then you can take the jigglers off and remove the cans. But those have to fall down. Otherwise, if you took this off, it would depressurize real fast. It could become explosive. Okay, so it's been 75 minutes since this started jiggling. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the flame. And now what we'll do is we'll wait until these tabs I just showed you, these tabs will fall down. Okay, the tabs have fallen down. So you can see the pressure now has been released from it, because that was up, now it's down. So we're going to remove the jiggler. So nothing's under pressure now. I'm going to do it to the other one. And now, so now we wait 5 minutes before we take the lids off. Okay, so we've waited that required 5 minutes. So now we're going to take the lids off. We're going to start taking the jars out. Packed with that bunch of goodies that came with the Amazon packaging of the knife and the magnet and the whole deal is this jar remover. So just grab the jar. Now we're going to set it on the counter. Now you can see that it's still boiling, and the reason it's boiling is because it's under a vacuum. I can already tell the lid is down on that one. It's been sucked in. Under a vacuum, boiling temperature is lower than pressures. It may boil down until it gets about 110. I've been able to touch them but with my hand before with them still boiling. So now that they're on the counter, so now that I'm getting them on the counter, we'll let them sit overnight for, well, 24 hours actually, and then we'll come back in and see if all the lids are sealed. So I hope you learned something from canning. If you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about our neighbors got arrested for using electric. So I hope I can inspire you to can your food so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.